Nigel, define converged infrastructure in business language, as if you were describing it to a CEO for me.
Okay, Mark, so I think what's important for a CEO to understand is that successful businesses increasingly will want an all-digital relationship with their customers. And the way in which that relationship gets delivered could be on a smart device, a mobile tablet, but I think it's increasingly all digital. And if you think about the changes that an organization has to undergo to deliver that all digital experience, one of the first places you're going to look to make some sort of change is in your IT organization. And the questions you'll be asking your CIO are, is my organization ready for this? Do I have a team of people that can deliver the sort of agility that the business is going to need? Because if I don't have that, I need to find a solution that gives me that capability. And where converged infrastructure fits really is almost the building block on which you would start to build that level of agility that would give your CIO an organizational structure that allows his organization to say, okay, I can now go and address an increasingly all digital relationship with my customers. So converged infrastructure is almost the first step, the first building block that you need.
How is converged infrastructure being adopted in organizations and enabling the reduction in costs?
So converged infrastructure has two sort of parts to it. One is the acquisition of the asset itself, and that is essentially the technology that's required to build out an infrastructure that allows you to then run a very highly virtualized environment, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more later. The second piece is, so there's a capital cost to acquiring that. The second piece is, how do I operate, run, and manage it? And if you look at the way your IT organizations are typically set up, they're very siloed. You have teams of people who don't necessarily talk to each other, and when they do talk to each other, they don't talk the same language. So you have to take a look at it operationally and say, are there savings that I can make over time by having an infrastructure team which is converged around the technology? And in many cases, this means that the way in which the infrastructure is operated is different. You probably require a higher degree of automation. There are people in your organization who will adapt and adopt to new job roles and new job functions within the organization. So as you look at it over the period of the ownership of the asset, that's where a big piece of the saving actually comes in. So there's some of the reasons why certainly the CFO is interested in looking at this, not only as a day one acquisition and purchase, but also what happens to it over the life of the asset within his organization.
Is the adoption of converged infrastructure being driven by organizations that want to be more flexible and able to react to market changes, for example?
Yeah, so we've discussed this nature of the all digital relationship. You have to be at a various point in your journey of that, right? So if you're at the very beginning of understanding how you deliver an increasingly digital relationship with a customer, you need to acquire the infrastructure asset that allows you to do that. Does that make you more flexible day one? I'm not sure it does. Does it give you a plan for how you would become more flexible, how you would actually be more agile as a business, how you could actually use this platform to make sudden snap changes in the way you go to market based maybe on a competitor tripping up? If you are connected in social media and you're listening to what's being said maybe about your competitors in the industry in which you are in, you're listening and watching for them to maybe make a mistake. And when they do that, can you very quickly capitalize on it and actually then change your go-to-market slightly to try and address an issue that a competitor of yours has maybe tripped up on? That, I think, is an example of where converged infrastructure, the CEO is picking up the phone to his CIO and saying, this has happened, how can we capitalize on this event? And having an infrastructure in place that allows you to build out that agility very quickly, having a team of people that understand how to do that and then can deliver it to the market very quickly, yes, absolutely. That's where you see converged infrastructure as this basic building block for giving you that capability.
Are the organizations that are adopting converged infrastructure finding that their existing data centers cannot support that need to be a flexible business?
In some cases, absolutely. There's an idea here that if you have a lot of legacy in your business, if you are still investing in technology that may be 20, 30 years old in some cases, you're not able to move that technology forward, right? And so you get to a point where you're investing in something which is technically standing still. So if you think about where converged infrastructure sits, there's a trend in the market around virtualization, the idea that I can decouple the software element from the hardware element, if you will. When you're able to do that, you're able to take traditional applications and run them on infrastructure at a significantly lower cost. In some cases, you will bin them completely and start again. And in some cases, you'll bring skills and applications into your business that you previously didn't have, either because the business didn't have a need for them or there was no market demand that said, this is what we have to do. So when you look at legacy, you have to look at legacy in terms of if I turned it off, who would scream? If I turn it off in a planned way, how do I then migrate that application onto a more modern infrastructure? And is there a set of applications and a capability that I don't have today that I need to acquire quickly? And when you bring all of those three elements together, again, converged infrastructure provides really the ideal platform for trying to mix those three sort of worlds together.
So lastly, Nigel, has the rise of cloud computing had a significant impact on the drive towards organisations adopting converged infrastructure?
Okay, so I think it's cause and effect. Cloud is a methodology. It says how you should do something, right? It doesn't necessarily say where you should do it. So it might be a data center that you own. It might be a data center that you choose to have managed on your behalf. What converged infrastructure does is provide a platform to develop and run cloud-based applications on. And if you think about what goes into converged infrastructure, essentially a storage element, a networking element, and a compute element, when you bundle those three things together, that is what you need to be able to slice and dice to then run these cloud applications on. These cloud applications might be wholly for your own business. You might take your HR application suite or elements of your ERP application suite and just run them in a cloud methodology in your own data center. If you're more outward facing, you might take elements of information available in the public cloud, so information that your customers are prepared to share with you. And when you bring that into your world, into your private data center, again, you need to manage that transition of how the data coming in from the outside merges with what you already know and own. So cloud is this methodology that says this is how I do it, and converged infrastructure, if you're going to own it yourself, is the platform that really gives you the capability to build out that cloud application suite.
Nigel, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you, you're welcome.